Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, in the last class, we studied chapter 6. So, elasticity of demand, consumer surplus, and producer surplus. So, we already studied demand. Now, we will study elasticity of demand and consumer surplus and producer surplus. So first, in the elasticity of demand, there are different elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand mean the particular product price change. What is the consumer responsiveness is the price elasticity of cross price elasticity of demand. Then other products price change or consumer response to the quantity demanded, that is measured by cost price elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand measure the consumer responsiveness to the his or her income change. So first we will study the own price elasticity, that is particular product price change, the consumer response to the price change. So price elasticity of demand measures consumers responsiveness to a price change. So we need to study the price elasticity of demand because we know when the price increase, demand falls. When the price falls, we know quantity demand increase. We don't know how much change, how the consumer responds. Low demand says when the price rise, quantity demanded falls. When the price falls, quantity demanded increase. But it doesn't tell how much the change. So how the consumer's response or sensitivity sensitive for the price change. And also we want to compare, if we measure the elasticity of demand, we can compare the consumer response to different product for a same price change. So we can compare which product more the change for the particular price change. So we can compare between the commodities also, how the consumer responds, and also even the same demand. So same product demand curve, it may vary. Consumer response may vary. So if when the product price is very high, if a price change, then consumer responds more. When that product price very low, then the same change, percentage change in the price, consumer responds less. So even for the same product, different prices, the consumer responds different. Between the products also different. For a same percentage change, different product, they respond differently. And also with the time also, the response differ. So for some product, if price change, for most of the product, the consumer responds less within short period, few days or few. So they don't, if the price increase, even price increase, they don't reduce much the quantity they purchase. But later, they change more. So with that, immediately their response less. But later they realize and they find out substitute goods. Then they shift to substitute goods. Then they reduce the purchase of the product, that price increase. So that time also affect the elasticity of demand. So over time, the price elasticity is changing. Even the same demand curve, same product, even higher price, the change response high, or lower price for the same product, their response less. And between the different products, their response differ. So for this, we need to, if we measure the elasticity of demand, we can see how the response the consumers. So what is the formula to measure the elasticity of demand, on price elasticity of demand? That is the percentage change in quantity demanded of product X over percentage change in price of product. That ED is the formula or coefficient of the price elasticity of demand. So if the consumer responds largely for a given price change, then relatively for a price change, their response large, their response is large, then we can say that demand is elastic demand. So elasticity demand, the coefficient will be greater than 1. If the elasticity of demand is greater than 1, we can say that demand is elastic demand. That means their response, consumer response is large, relatively large for a change in the price. So if the consumer response is relatively small for a given price change, then we say that demand is inelastic demand. So the elasticity of demand, that coefficient, is less than 1. Then we say that is inelastic demand. Consumers response relatively small for a price change. So sometimes the change in quantity, percentage change in the quantity equal to the percentage change in the price. So the consumer, the price, the elasticity of that demand, we say unitary elastic. So the elasticity of demand is 1. So if greater than 1, the elasticity of demand is greater than 1 from this formula, that coefficient is greater than 1, we say the demand is elastic. If the coefficient is less than 1, demand is inelastic. If it's equal to 1, we say that demand is unitary elastic. So if it is greater than 1, the consumer response relatively large to a price change. If demand is inelastic, that means consumer response is relatively small for a change in the quantity, in the price. So the formula, percentage change in quantity demanded of product X over percentage change in price of product X. So we measure price change and quantity change in percentage. That give one advantage. So unit free. So if we both are percentage, then it is unit free. You can measure in any unit. The answer is the coefficient is same. So you can measure quantity change in, you can measure quantity in pounds or kilogram or gram. You can measure price in rupees and cents or dollar or cents or pennies or whatever the unit you measure, but the answer is same. So percentage, you are measuring percentage. The percentage should be same. If you measure kilogram or gram, the change in quantity in percentage is same. Like that, if you measure price in rupees or cents, the percentage change in the price is same. So then if you measure price and quantity in any units, the coefficient or this formula give same value. So that is, then you don't need to worry about the which unit you measure. So one advantage of using percentage, so unit free. But when we measure the percentage, we have a problem, because percentage we measure change in quantity divided by original quantity, or percentage change in price over initial price. So then we will have a problem. So if the demand, if the price increase 4 to 5, that means 1 rupees increase from 4. So 1 to 4, change is 1 divided by initial price 4, then it's say 25% price change. So when the price decrease from 5 to 4, the change in 1, but initial price is 5. So percentage change in price 20%. So for that quantity also we measure. So there also we will have problem. So if they say quantity change from 10 to 20, then change is 10, initial quantity 10, then 100% change. But when we decrease from 20 to 10, then change is 10, but initial quantity is 20, so 50%. So then the price increase 4 to 5, percentage change in the price 25, but the quantity demanded from 20 to 10, that means 100%. So 100% divided by 25%, we will get elasticity 4. But when the 5 to 4 price uh, 10 to 20, so that is 100. So earlier case, price decrease 5 to 4, quantity increase 10 to 20. So 5 to 4 decrease, that is 20%, 100 to 20, For the price decrease 5 to 4, quantity increase 10 to 20. So 20% price decrease, 100% quantity increase. So 100 divided by 20, the elasticity is 5. But the opposite, when the price increase 4 to 5, price increase 25, the quantity decrease 20 to 10, that means change is 10, change is 10, the initial quantity is 20, so 50 percentage. For the price increase 25 percentage, quantity change 50 percentage, so 50 divided by 25, 2.5. So you can, for the same, the demand curve, same change from 4 to 5, 5 to 4. In the same area, when we calculate the elasticity, it gives 4 and 2.5. It gives two different elasticity. So because of the initial price or initial quantity. So the change is same. 10% the change price is 1 change, quantity change 10. But when we both way, but when we calculate percentage, we have different initial value. So for price change from 4 to 5, initial price 4, price decrease 5 to 4, initial price 5, quantity increase 10 to 20, initial quantity 10, change is 10. But when the quantity decrease 20 to 10, change is 10, same, but initial quantity is 20. So percentage is changing. So it should be same value, elasticity. Because in the same demand curve, between 2 points, we estimate the elasticity. So to avoid that problem, we use midpoint value. So the price increase 5 to 4 to 5 or price decrease 5 to 4, change is 1. But the denominator for the percentage, we use midpoint. For 4 plus 5 divided by 2, 4.5. So 1 over divided by 4.5 into 100. That is the percentage for the price change. Quantity change 10 to 20, 20 to 10. Any change is 10. But the denominator for the percentage, we use midpoint. 10 plus 20 divided by 2, that means 50. So now if we calculate So we can rearrange that. So change in quantity demanded x over change in quantity, change in quantity demanded, no, change in quantity demanded of x divided by original quantity demanded of x over, so uh, over change in price of x over original price. This is the formula. We can rearrange that change in quantity demanded over change in price multiply by original price over original quantity. So then we can, so the when we use, we have this calculation problem. So that is initial price starting point become a method. So then to solve that problem, if we use midpoint formula, then we will avoid that problem. So we will have only one elasticity. So if elasticity, the coefficient of elasticity is equal to 2, that means it's greater than 1. Then we can say that demand is elastic demand. So the consumer response is relatively large to a price change. It's the elasticity is greater than 1. Inelastic demand, if the elasticity of demand or coefficient of that elasticity is less than 1.5 is less than 1. So then we can say that demand is inelastic. That means consumer response is relatively small for a price change. Unit elasticity. That means the elasticity of demand equal 1. So then percentage change in the quantity demanded is equal to percentage change in the price. But normally this value, if you use that formula, normally this value is negative because price increase, demand decrease. Price decrease, demand increase. So if we calculate the mathematically, its value is negative, but we ignore that. If it is as a minus, then we will have a confusion. If mathematically think minus 2, it's less than minus 1 or minus 0.5. So numerically minus 0.5 it's greater than minus 2. Then you will think the minus 0.5, the demand is highly response because it's numerically higher than the minus 2, but that is wrong. So consumer responds more than the minus 2 elasticity. So if we ignore that minus, then it's no problem. Minus 2 mean the elasticity demand is elastic, consumer responds more for the price change. So because always the opposite direction price and quantity. So most of the goods, some we will study detail, some goods it may be positive, but almost all the goods the negative, the demand is downward slope. So we ignore that negative sign, then we will not have confusion. So because 2 it's greater than 0.5, so 2 mean elastic demand. consumer will respond more for a price change. Okay, so you should remember, even when you graduate, when you complete the degree, after you complete the degree, someone asks if, if, if a demand is elastic, or if elasticity is true, what is demand? It's elastic demand or inelastic demand. You should be able to tell if it is a elastic demand, and if it is an inelastic demand like that, then you should know the meaning. So if the elasticity is greater than 1, that demand is elastic demand. If elasticity is less than 1, that is inelastic of demand. So why we use percentage? So unit free measures, I already told that, I said that unit free measures. Then because of unit free measures, we are able to compare the consumer response between the product. So for the salt, price and quantity are very low value. For the other product, chicken, beef, price and quantity are a large value. So it is difficult to compare you. But if we measure those prices and quantity in percentage, then elasticity value will help you to compare both product, how consumer responds. You can compare the response. So the very laptop or smartphone, how the consumer responds for that product with the other product. So food is essential, food commodities. Those are small one. Even now it seems essential, but it's so you can see which commodity consumer, how the consumer will respond. So the prices and quantity are different. The smartphone, laptop, and the other commodities. But then if we don't use the percentage, absolute value, then it is difficult to you compare. But if we say in the percentage, if we calculate percentage, then you can simply compare for 1% increase in the price or 10% increase in the price of laptop, how much its demand, what percentage demand decrease, the elasticity will give that value. So for the 10% increase in the smartphone, how the demand change. So prices and quantities are different, but now from the elasticity, you can say for which product they respond more, which product they respond less. Relative response you can see. So normally food, even it's essential, when the pricing because of essential, when the price even go higher, they will not reduce much quantity For the price change, their response always less. Even price increase or even large increase in the price, they will not reduce much food because it's essential. So the elasticity will be less than one more like that. But for the luxury other goods, smartphone, laptop, other things, higher price increase price higher percentage, 10 percentage, they will reduce the purchase. So the response is different. So if we compare if we measure the in percentage, we will be able to compare. So elimination of negative sign. So I already told if we have negative sign in front of that elasticity formula, if you mathematically imagine or think, then it will confuse. So if we ignore, then you know how the value, elasticity value give directly consumer response. Extreme cases. So there are some extreme cases. So now elasticity is some finite value. No, so 2, 3, like that. So there are extreme cases, very rare cases. So extreme cases, the elasticity may be perfectly, the demand may be perfectly inelastic demand. So perfectly inelastic mean for a price change, consumer they don't respond. So even price change, no change in the quantity demanded. So then elasticity of demand is zero. The numerator elasticity formula numerator, so percentage change in quantity is zero. No change in the quantity demanded, whatever the price change. So there are some cases it possible perfectly inelastic demand. So the demand curve is vertical. So parallel to the y-axis. The y-axis price, horizontal axis quantity. So even whatever the price, no change in the quantity. So the demand curve look like vertical line that is parallel to the price line y-axis. So if we calculate elasticity, zero. So perfectly inelastic demand. So there are some example, approximate example. So it's extreme, rare cases. So approximate example that we cannot say exact example, approximate example. So you are a diabetic patient, you need insulin. So even price increase, you need insulin injection. So then even price increase, we will have that dose, that quantity. So even price increase, he will not reduce or even price decrease, he will not increase. So some heroin addict people, so even price, but they want to buy in any price because they are addicted. So these are approximate example for this extreme case. So extreme mean very, very rare. So there are cases. So perfectly inelastic demand, the demand curve is vertical parallel to the vertical axis, price axis. Perfectly elastic demand. That is another extreme case demand. So that is demand curve is horizontal. That is parallel to the horizontal axis, that quantity demanded axis. So we will, this is also extreme. So cases we will study, there are demand in a competitive market. We say competitive market, pure competitive market. That means many buyers, many sellers, many buyers, and all sellers sell identical product, same product, standard product. So if that firm, the demand for that firm product, the demand for a particular seller product, it's horizontal in this pure commodity market. So all are selling identical product. So if you sell your product higher than the market price, no one will buy. The demand is zero. If we reduce the price than the market price or even in the market price, then consumer will buy from you whatever they want. So the demand for a particular firm product in a competitive market, it's horizontal. So demand for a firm product by consumer is horizontal. In a hypothetical market or competitive market, so we will study in the competitive market when we study. This is one extreme case. If the price high, the demand is zero for that product, that firm product by consumer. If the price decrease, the consumer, you can sell any amount at that price. There are consumers to buy that product. So perfect inelastic demand means the demand curve is vertical and elasticity is zero. Perfectly elastic demand, the demand curve is horizontal and elasticity is infinite. So total revenue test. So we want to measure the elasticity. So the percentage change in quantity divided by percentage change in price. So for that, you need the price data and quantity data. So another easiest way to estimate elasticity, for the particular demand, whether particular demand is elastic or inelastic demand, to determine, to know whether this product demand is elastic or inelastic. By the easiest way we can find by the total revenue test. So total revenue test is simple. So for the seller, from a seller, we can get that data. So when the price high, the people buy less. When the higher price, people buy more. That is normal. So whether particular product demand is inelastic or elastic, we can identify whether demand this particular product is inelastic demand or elastic demand simply by the total revenue test. So total revenue is price multiplied by the quantity. For the seller, revenue its price multiplied by the quantity. At this price, he sell this amount quantity, then he get this amount money. That is revenue, total revenue. So inelastic demand. So if when the price increase for some product price increase, the consumer will not reduce much their quantity purchase because it may be essential food. So price increase, but they don't reduce the quantity purchase much. They reduce little. Then what will happen? Price into quantity. The revenue increase because they don't price increase 10%. If they reduce quantity more than 10%, then revenue will be less. When the price increase 10%, they reduce quantity by 5%. That means total revenue increase. So for then if the price increase, total revenue increase, then that the commodity demand is inelastic demand. So price increase, they don't decrease the reduce the quantity purchased. So for a price change, consumer response is less. For a price change, consumer response is relatively small. So inelastic demand. If it is inelastic demand, when the price increase, total revenue increase. So price and total revenue change in the same direction. Price increase, total revenue, then the demand is inelastic. So we can easily test whether this particular product is inelastic or not. So when the price increase, the seller total revenue increase, then we can simply say that product is inelastic demand. So when the price increase, do you think any seller selling agriculture product will get less revenue? They get more revenue. So today I went to a shop buy little vegetable. I had to pay 400 rupees. Now price because of lockdown price increase. Now they are getting revenue, not the profit. The money for the price change, they get more value, revenue. So agriculture product inelastic demand. So some other product price increase, we don't buy now. So that will be a response relatively large for the price change. So if that commodity is not essential, so price increase, then we reduce the purchase lot. So but for that commodity, if the price decrease, we will buy more. So then you can see when the price increase, total revenue decrease. Because for a price increase, we response relatively large. We reduce quantity purchase more for a price change. So price increase, total revenue decrease. For a price increase 10%, quantity decrease by more than 10%, then total revenue P into Q. So total revenue decrease. Then that commodity demand is elastic demand. We respond more. If our response more for price change, we say that is elastic demand. So for the price increase, total revenue decrease, opposite direction, that price increase, total revenue decrease, then that particular commodity demand is elastic. So from the total revenue, we can simply identify whether this product is inelastic or elastic. So we can show in the graph also simply. So demand curve, you see. So when the price is 2, demand is 10. So when the price decrease, we will opposite, we will say. So earlier price is 1, so demand is 40. When the price increase 2, demand is decreased to 10. So now you know total revenue into P into Q. So when the price is 1, the total revenue is 40. Quantity is 40, price is 1. That area, rectangular area, it's 40. When the price increase to the quantity 10. So total revenue is 20. Now, so earlier total revenue 40. Now price increase, total revenue is only 20. Price increase, but because the demand says consumer for the price increase, they reduce quantity, purchase more. Their response is large. Then that demand is inelastic. But you can see when the price increase, the loss and gain. So the common square rectangular is common. It's not changing. But this blue and yellow, so that is blue is when the price increase, blue area is lost and the yellow is gain. So loss area greater than gain area. So that means when the price increase, revenue decrease. So this demand is elastic demand. So total revenue, just say this is elastic demand. For this product, you can see demand curve is steep curve. Now, so when the price 1, demand is 20. So total revenue 20. Price increase to $4. But they reduce demand 10 to 10, 20 to 10. So now total revenue 4 into 10, 40. So when the low price, total revenue is 20, now price increase to 4, but total revenue increase to 40. So then you can see the loss area blue is smaller than the gain area yellow. So it simply says gain area greater than loss. So when the price increase, total revenue increase, then you can see demand is inelastic. When the price increase, even for large price increase, their response is less. So inelastic demand. So from the total revenue, we can the change in the total revenue we can identify for the demand for this product. So this third case, you can see if the demand curve like that. Even price increase, total revenue is not changing. So when the price 1, demand is 30, then total revenue is 30. Price increase to $3, the demand decrease from 30 to 10, but total revenue is 30. And total revenue is not changing. The blue loss area, the yellow gain area, both are same. So this demand is unit elastic. So from the total revenue test, we can identify the demand for a particular for a product, whether it is elastic demand or inelastic demand or unit elastic demand. So we can from the total revenue test. So from the then also we say even the same demand, a particular product demand, so higher price, consumer response is different when the price is very low. So even in the same demand curve, some portion consumer response more elastic demand, some portion consumer response less inelastic demand. So even along the demand curve, the elasticity will change. So consumer response is different of the initial price. So we will see in the next class now 3 o'clock. So I will stop here. Okay, students. Hello.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Great day,
sir.
sir.
Great.